what mistakes to avoid, for people to spend huge amounts of money into it. Um, what are those mistakes and then you can avoid ahead?
There's so many, but I kind of touched on it earlier, is you need to do your research. Um, don't sign a contract if you're not comfortable with who you're signing a contract with. If there's not, you are going to spend a lot of time with your builder, with your lender, with your realtor. You're going to spend a lot of time with those people, but especially a builder. The building process takes 15, 18, 24 months sometimes, depending on the size, complexity of the project. There's always going to be ups and downs. Mistakes will happen. There needs to be trust, but I always say trust and verify. When somebody says to me, I trust you, I say, I don't want, I appreciate that, but verify. Don't trust me so much that you don't do your homework.
It's not
Um,
because, it's not your responsibility. You don't want to take responsibility. It's just because, everybody, we're all human that, we make mistakes. And then, if you have it, always good to have the second opinion and,
yep.
make the right decision on what, you
Listen,
know,
when somebody comes to me and wants to build a house, yeah, if there's good chemistry there, I want them to build with me. But I'd rather them go interview two or three other builders and come back to me because they value my knowledge and and value the relationship. That way, I'm confident that they've done their work. One mistake, and I alluded to it before, is do your research and don't go talk to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who thinks they know about home building, because most people honestly don't know the first thing about home building. Um, they think they do. They've heard horror stories, but do your research, go online, read. But remember, home building is also regional. So what applies in California does not apply here in the DMV. So make sure you read your contract. If you do not understand your contract, engage an attorney to explain it to you. Most builders are not going to rewrite their contract, but understanding what you are agreeing to is important. Understand what the specifications are for your home. What kind of windows am I getting? How are you insulating it? You know, there's so much that goes into good specifications that tell you what you're getting. Don't assume and don't say, and if somebody says, yeah, we do that, don't worry about it. Everything should be in writing. It should be in the specifications. Everything should be clear to you what is being built. Every change, there needs to be a change order. Don't do things on a handshake. I know there are builders out there who say, yeah, we'll do that. Don't worry about it. Acknowledge it, put it in writing. There's nothing wrong. A good builder who's a good businessman will appreciate somebody that wants to do things the right way. Let's do a change order just so I can memorialize it. No problem. I'll send one out this afternoon. Um, that doesn't mean you don't trust each other. It means you trust each other to do the thing, to do it right. And that's what you really want, is to do it right. Understand, you know, you can go into Home Depot and you can see all these, phenomenal looking appliances, plumbing fixtures. Trust your builder to guide you to the right materials, to the right installations. Okay. That's why the reason you hire a builder, reason you hire any professional is because they have the experience to be forward looking, to help you avoid the mistakes. The other thing that I really feel strongly about is put your money where in the assemblies that cannot easily be changed. You're not going to come back in 3 years and rip out your windows. You can replace your hardwood floors, but you can't come back and just add a brick front or a brick four sides in a couple of years. So put the money where into things that cannot easily be changed, that you are important to you, and don't cheap out on the structure, on your systems, because those are the aspects of the home assembly that will make your home, will add to your home's longevity, the comfort, and quite frankly, lack of need for maintenance if things are done right up front.
I can add a couple things to that, and I can be pretty straightforward and brief on that, quite frankly, because when it comes to mistakes, I think one of the biggest mistakes people make in new construction, especially semi-custom or custom home building, is they lead with excitement. And whereas that's very good for the builder, they want somebody that is excited and motivated to do it. If you're just excited about what it will be, then you're possibly setting yourself up for an emotional crash in the sense that you have to now go back, go to your specs, read between the lines, and come up with a really, really good plan, and to make sure that you are a good candidate to go through this process. I used to do workshops quite often, and I used to tell my clients if that were in the room or prospects that were in the room. And I would say to them, you know, if at the end of this hour workshop that you're spending with me, I scare you out of building your new home and you just go and buy a resale, then I've probably saved you a lot of heartache and anxiety because you can feel emotionally whether or not am I really built for this. So that's number one. And number two is, you know, we started a long time ago in this conversation about where do you start, how do you find a builder piece of property. Well, vetting your builders, just understand that all builders are not created equal. If you're building a 10,000 square foot house with all of the whistles and bells, and you're going to plan on paying top dollar, please do not hire a guy that has only built a 2,500 square foot house and sees dollar signs and thinks that he's going to give you or she's going to give you a wonderful, wonderful price and deal because they know they can do it for less because they have low overhead and they're going to be there every day. No, you want to go with experience, 100%. Those are my two biggest. And of course, make sure you can afford it.
Yeah. And in
Yeah,
time,
and
go ahead, Howard.
I was just gonna say, and that's a great segue. I advise clients that regardless of how much time they spend up front, they're going to go over. They're going to go over the budget. They're going to spend extra on upgrades and options. I typically, depending on how the job, if it's semi-custom, I've said 10 to 20%. If it's custom where you've spent a lot of time up front building everything in, then maybe you can say 10% more, but you will spend 10 to 20% more over and above your contract amount by the time it's over and done.
Yeah. And my takeaway is that, when you purchase the lot, you only look for the location. And it's actually, something that I experienced that mistake that I was trying to, because, everybody wants to go to Potomac and Bethesda area. It is, great schools, great, very convenient location and all that. But the thing is that, as Tom said, that, make sure it's under your budget. And then the house is actually the home that you are going to living there for a long time and you want to enjoy the home itself. I mean, all the environment are great, but it's also the plus. But basically, that you wouldn't use the same budget and then goes to Bethesda, but living in a 3-bedroom house, other than build it somewhere else that also fits your needs, but enjoy the 4,000 square footage house. So those are very, you got to think about it. As Tom said, that it's not emotionally processed. It is something that you really need to think about. And then the other thing is that not, finding a custom build consultant. Like I talked with Tom and Howard for many times. I wish I, found a consultant at the time. I would like to pay 1%, 2%, whatever, they were asking, because it will be, wiped off lots of my headache to do the research on what is this word. Like those are so many new words to me, and it is another animals in the, even though I have 10 years experience on the sales of the properties, but still like those are new words for me, and then this is completely another world. So great advice is that find a trusted custom build consultant so that you don't have to spend so many times on top of it, and you don't feel like, oh, I'm so tired and I don't want to do it anymore. And lots of times people don't know that they could build. And until they talk to a consultant, until they talk with a builder, until they talk with trauma new construction specialized loan officer, then they learn that, oh, I have this option. So don't think new build is something like, really, really expensive, or it can be very expensive, or, really hard to touch, but it is not, as you imagine, that hard.